say, okay, this happened, I'm a startup, I'm doing this all by myself, without the check that you're supposed to write me. I'm a small person, so this is what you guys should say. This didn't happen, but this should happen. Please remember, have a backup on this code. Always think, if this goes wrong, do I have something to back up? How many of you do web-based demos? So I'll keep this quick, only 2 things. Please use sans serif fonts. Don't use fonts that are curly, they don't need to spell on screen. Use the same browser you tested on. Firefox versus Chrome versus Explorer. I have made this mistake 2 months ago. Launch the browser, trying to demo product, nothing is happening, nothing. Browser, Internet Explorer 6, nothing is How can something happen? Customer is confident, he's still sitting on Internet Explorer 6. It happens to the best of us. Anyway, so please take the strongest connection possible on Internet if you can't run on that. You know the order. Alt tab between your slide in the browser. If you have a presentation and this thing, please alt tab between the slide in the browser. F11 is a simple thing that people don't use. Press F11 on your browser, you get 30% real estate free. So your product looks better, bigger. If you want text to be even bigger, just say Control plus. Everybody knows this command, nobody uses it in a demo. I don't know for what reason. Just Control plus, your text will look bigger. Control minus, text will look smaller. Don't need zoom, just one key will do. And please have a backup. I keep insisting on this because Office law is in full force when you're doing it. Mobile? Anybody doing a mobile product? No means no. No means fast. That's a live product, which is yours. Whenever you have a live product and you make sure that the camera is trained on the product, keep it steady, light it there. Right? These are things that people forget. If there are 2 screens, put one screen on the product and one screen on your face. These things can be done. These don't cost extra money. Light up the product. The camera cannot pick it up unless it's lit. You know this. People without lighting, they don't get shown. Be dramatic. You guys have a product. How many people do products? People have the best cold cuts in the world. The best cheese in the world. Important. You have something to show physically. Acha. So we moved, we demoed your product, presses all over you. Or rather, after you finish the demo, there will be a 20 Q&A session. I avoided completely by saying, "बहुत सारे question पहले पूछ लो." कोई पूछता ही नहीं, clear advantage है. Don't give people time to think. You ask me all your questions now, no Q&A. But sometimes, that may not be in your hand. Have I upset you? That's just your, what we call business as usual case, right? So please come prepared for all questions, right? Anticipate questions from the audience. Nobody does this. Then you get defensive about the answer. It's a lack of preparation. It's not a lack of knowledge. Nobody comes and says, "Boss, if somebody says, this is not going to work, what am I going to say?" Or if somebody says, "Hey, this is never going to happen." Or if somebody says, "Flipkart will never give you a commission." What are you going to say? Think about it. But don't elaborate it prematurely because then you look at it. Okay, good. I attended a session, I came prepared. Don't have that look on your face when you deliver the answer. Be humble. There will be idiots in the audience, they will always ask you stupid questions. Right? Some dumb question about it, just not smart. So, the simplest answer is to say, that's a great question, why don't we take it off? You acknowledge the fact that he is present. You acknowledge that a question has been asked. You also given them an alternative saying, "Come meet me in the park." Right? There is not a single instance in my life where I have taken a hostile offline question and the question has actually been asked. That guy, see, always remember this. When somebody asks a hostile question, there are 2 ways to respond to a hostile question. The first way is the defensive way. "You idiot, let me give you product number 1. That's the one method. That's a bad method because it just results in mudslinging. Right? You just get, that guy gets defensive, you get defensive. It ends badly. The other way is to look at that person and always think about this one thing, and it's guaranteed to lighten up your mood. Think about that person and say, "Okay, you look like this because when you were a child, you never got any girls." You can get it. No, I had a name for it. Just kind of let it slide and just say, I will take this question. If they persist, it's them they're looking like the orifice, not you. Right? If the person persists, he's looking foolish now in front of us. You are not looking foolish. Just a smile on your face, just say, man. Anytime I ask for it, why it was there. Sometimes the mind goes blank when a question is asked. Right? So, you're reasonably intelligent. Some people are born with blank minds. Right? So, Miss Universe, for example, all the contestants. Femina Miss India. But they have a very smart trick. You just need 2 seconds to answer the question. Right? If you can compose the answer, you know that you can deliver the answer. So, whenever somebody asks you a question and your mind goes blank, use a filler at the beginning of the sentence. You will see this. Next time you see this in action, you will be on the floor laughing. Because they use this technique all the time. You need 2 seconds. What do? You say, I'm glad you asked that question. That's a great question. That's 2 seconds. Just to compose the answer. Miss Universe will deliver a dumb answer at the end of the filler. They'll still deliver a dumb answer. You guys are smarter than that. Okay, sometimes people come to me and say, there is no USP in my product. There are ESP, 3SP, 4SP. So there are 5 things that I want to say about my product. And hey, this is another great technique that you can use. Just blank the screen. Then people are forced to look at it. They don't have an option. So sometimes people come and say, if you don't have this clicker, because this is a patchy place, just press B. Okay? B on your keyboard. Black the screen at any point. And B again to bring it back. If you are the reactionary type, white is your color. Just B and B from black. Back to point. So if you have 2 things about your product that you want to say, but like I told you, you should only stick to 1 thing. Then the second thing you can do as a roundabout product benefit explanation. So tell me 2 things about your cheese. You want to take it offline? Awesome. What? 2 good things about your cheese that nobody else has.
USP.
Yeah, USP, 2SP, whatever.
That I don't have a local competition. The already put it.
You are living on hope and a prayer. Anyway, so you don't have local, these are all imported cheeses. That's your USP. Your 2SP.
Is that my cheeses don't contain any preservatives.
So preservative free and imported, right? So that's great, right? So maybe you want to focus on the fact that these are preservative free. That's your USP. Any of you ask me a question about this cheese? Any question? I don't know jack about his cheese, right? That's a given. How many countries do?
The cheese.
No, I'm glad you asked that question. I mean, it's a great question. But here's the thing: we don't use any local cheeses. All our cheeses are imported. We import them from Europe.
No, rather from Poland. I make them myself.
Oh, you make them yourself? Then how are they imported?
There are cheeses, but they all imported. So I'm going to make them like that.
See, those varieties are mostly imported, but these are made.
Our cows are milk fresh. We make our cheese right here, and they stand up to the rest of the world. Short answer. The point I'm trying to make is, so you asked a different question. I might have given you that answer. I don't know what is product to give you an answer, but I also slid it in the fact that this happens. Right? So use the question and answer session for a benefit explanation. Something that you're not covering in the presentation, you can cover in Q&A. Don't get excited and say, I have to say everything. Remember, clarity. So if you are saying only one thing, how are you going to say the other things? Use Q&A. Right? Oops. So we talked about all these guys working in marriages. So in marriage is chaotic, right? Indian marriage is completely chaotic. And you just have to capture all the correct key points, right? So what do these guys do? They use motion as a trigger. Anything goes, attack, they go there. Anything goes, attack, they go here. What do you think? They capture line of food people eating, it's all happiness mode. Every anytime you are handling questions, when you are asked a question, move a step forward. The camera will pick you up immediately. Otherwise, you will keep running out. See, what's the question kahan se aaya aur answer kahan se aaya, right? The moment you show emotion, he will pick you up. Remember this. If you want the camera to pick you up, just step forward. And please maintain eye contact. Wear a smile on your face. Right? It's not compulsory, but it works. Sort of. Okay, please remember this. So next, you cross this barrier. You want to all the pressing boys here, and they want to know what you want to do. Cheese. Are we getting too delusional? Okay. So what's your story and why are you newsworthy? The press has only two angles. Please remember this. Either it's a human interest story or it's a technology story. They don't cover anything else. Entertainment. Entertainment, believe me, you are not. You just have to go with what I say in the current. So why are you using? And remember one thing, the reporter is as desperate to file a story as you are to get covered in the paper. Because the reporter has an editor. It's not like they file the story and it gets published. That's not how it works. Right? So the reporter has an editor who is going to banish anything that doesn't meet the paper standards. They are as desperate to file a story as you are to get the common sentiments. So why are you useful? You should always have an angle ready. So Red Bus, is it a technology story or is it a human interest story?
Human interest.
Absolutely. Complete. But he doesn't get airwaves because he's doing some rocket science at the back end. He gets airwaves because he's helping a lot of people to skip the bus people. So why are you you don't have any technology, right? Jesus, I think pretty much made the same way the world over. Why are you a human interest story? Are you using women's self-help groups to do the cheese, for example?
Helping the local farmers.
So are you sourcing from local farmers? Are you sourcing milk from local farmers? Are those cows, happy? Business and into your story. Saying, look, is it technology, entertainment, or is it human interest? You will find some surprising methods. Right? No, sorry, it's called laughing now. Laughing now. But then happy. So figure this out. Figure out how you can be press friendly by human interest. Non-bleak clothes, please don't wear primary colors. Red, green, and blue don't look good on camera. Orange, yellow. How many of you are South Indians here? I am so. I'm not defensive. If you have no idea about what lead is, watch a Rajnika movie, you will understand. Whatever lead that is, Rajnika, which part of the country are you from? Kerala. See, unfortunately, they are slightly better dressed. Tamil Nadu, watch any Tamil movie, watch any Andhra body, any Kannada, Andhra or Tamil movie will reset your. You will never wear bleed clothes. You will never apply lipstick. Hero. Okay. And have a soft copy of everything ready. Otherwise, the reporter has to type everything out from scratch. This is such a basic thing. They have to create the story. Right? So simple thing, high-res JPEG of your logo, high-res images of your product or your service or whatever it is. Who does this? Nobody. You've just made it easier for the reporter to plug in. They don't have to even type. Make it that easy. There is no such thing called off the record. The reporter needs the story. So you can also use this to your advantage. It's called a guided link. So if you want them to publish something, say, "Boss, this is off the record," but you really use cow psychologists to keep it off. That's how our cows have it. We go talk to our cows. We put voices in their heads. We play music to them. So suddenly wow. So this is called a guided. Okay. So be approachable. They're a name tag. After they met you, they don't know who you are. Remember that they've taken a photo, but they don't know. You know, are these brothers? Are these twins? Who's who? Right? So they're a name tag. Simple name tag, so that you can be identified. Please carry visiting cards and not. I've lost count of the amount of events that I have gone to when the startups don't have visiting cards. Such a ridiculous thing. There are 5 people, you need 500 visiting cards. 100 for everyone. Keep passing. Right? Keep it simple. Don't keep it complicated. The simplest stories, the viral stories are the ones that are simple to communicate. So if you can actually get a house of colors, then we're talking baby. Now your cheese has happiness. Okay, managing cameras, we've discussed this a little bit. I'll just kind of go through it. Please look straight into the camera. Not, head to one side, sides to the other side. Look Friday the 13th. If I were a camera, now I'm going to get beaten. Now it's a fact. This guy's given up. That guy's angry. Anyway, display is good, finger is bad. So please look straight into the camera, right? Don't make any eye movements that are rapid or unplanned. It looks terrible. It looks terrible, right? I even corollary of this, most people look like this when in photos, right? Because you're blinking. So just remember subconsciously, keep your eyes open. You notice I move my hands slowly. You should also don't ever stand still and make a presentation. Right? Except when they're trying to click a photo. But always keep moving around. Because we are also, our lizard brains also react to movement. So if something is moving, then you pay attention. I teach you another cheap trick, very, very cheap trick. If you want to, that was a very cheap trick. Are you trying to tell me you can do it on demand because you have that craft Anyway. If you want to look like you're open and approachable and believable, and who does it, right? Just spread out your palms gently. Don't do this. Dude, you can trust me. But if you keep your palms open, generally it's a nice body language thing to say that, look, I'm not hiding my hands. Okay? This is the example. This is keep your hands open. Don't cover your face up at everything. This is pretty obvious. This you can't help. Like I said, the face in the mirror is not what the camera is seeing. It's a different face altogether. It's not the real face. It's just what the camera is seeing, right? So this will happen. So don't go into throes of depression when this happens. We always look bad in front of camera. That's it. At least smile. See, this makes all the difference. Right? If you have a bad face and you smile, you still look better. Great face. Please keep smiling. That's very, very important. And he's flexing his neck out. It's Kung Fu time. Okay. Now I'm going to leave you guys with some very quick last minute advice. Right? So like I said, just remember 3 slides. The top slide, the middle slide, and the last slide. What is the top slide? No, boss. X hours have been spent on this. Better be worth something. Yes, what is the first thing I wanted you to remember? What's it not about that? Everybody's looking at their notes. One takeout, next action. Don't ever leave a presentation. One takeout and next. Second thing I wanted you to remember was always say these 4 things in your presentation. What pain are we solving? How do we do it? Where are we the best? Remember this is just advice. Remember this. Please work on language. Very, very important. Something I run through this presentation because I've delivered it hundreds of times. You wake up in the night and say, do this, I do it. That's how you work with your shoe. But you should just shake you out of your sleep and you should be delivering this. I become lazy now, I don't practice this anymore. I don't need to, I deliver this almost twice monthly basis. Your pitch might be excellent, but remember that only business is great. So don't work so hard on your pitch that you neglect what you're doing on the product. It's still only a business that gets funded. Be humble. You have nothing to gain except for experience. If you're humble, probably you get advice, you make a few friends. Not in this session. You make a few friends. You'll get a lot of benefits in life if you're humble. You'll get the exact opposite if you're not. Not getting funded is not the end of the world. There are hundreds and thousands of businesses. I don't know if you've heard of a business called Pro. So they get funded for a very long time. A friend of mine stuck at it for like 7 years, just got funded, stays in London. There are people that get funded later, there are people that get funded earlier, there are people that don't get funded at all. It doesn't mean, please understand that if you don't get funded, it doesn't mean that your business is not alive. It just means that your business is not fundable. There is a very, very large degree of difference between both these things. Millions of businesses around the world run on a daily basis, provide employment, generate wealth, and a great deal of satisfaction to their owners without getting funded. And everybody in your company needs to know how to pitch. Very important. And remember, you need to have different versions of your pitch. So you can have like a 15-minute pitch, you should have a 5-minute pitch. Because sometimes you walk into a meeting and the client says, hey, I have only 5 minutes. What do you got? Right? At which point in time you need to seamlessly move into your 5-minute pitch. And of course, the 30-second pitch is your any-minute pitch. Any questions? This is my take on anything that you want. Please give me a right hand.
The question in the beginning was about this kind of scenario with businesses. Obviously, like you see, it's not IT related so much.
Sure.
But there's a lot of aesthetic versus functional kind of thing. So in terms of that, what you see was the basic interest.
See, the Indian investor ecosystem is still evolving. We are not, the Indian startup system is still evolving. We are not, IT comparisons are, yes, I don't like comparisons. People compare us to Silicon Valley, people compare us to China, Brazil. There was BRIC, and now there is some other acronym from some other set of countries. South Africa, Indonesia, these are now pariah countries, right? I mean, I don't believe in it, to be honest. Each country is an ecosystem to itself. Each ecosystem evolves at a different pace, in a different direction. There are some structural issues which we can't control, right? What the government does and what politicians do, we can't control. But the short answer is that, we're still young. As a country, we are only 65 years old. People don't seem to appreciate it. As an economy, we are only 20 years old. People don't seem to appreciate that either. So we are very, very young in that sense. So insofar as Goa is concerned, I cannot offer you any advice. I will not pretend to offer you any advice. But believe me, even in an imports matured ecosystem like Bombay or Delhi, it's still good. Angel investors are not putting $500,000 checks down over coffee, which is what happens in Silicon Valley all the time. And there is a particular reason why it happens. If you want, I go through the reasons. The reason it happens in Silicon Valley is because venture capital funding in Silicon Valley is over a century old. Right? And what has happened is there have been multiple rounds of infusion by investors. There have been multiple rounds of entrepreneurs coming out, multiple generations. Right? So this is probably the 5th generation or at least 3rd generation of entrepreneurs coming out of that ecosystem. And the entrepreneurs themselves have become investors. So India has, I attended an angel investing workshop taught by a very eminent gentleman from London Business School. So India has about 1,000 investors. Pappu place like Canada, it's like really Pappu. You don't even, Indians can't point out Canada on a map. We are fairly world domain knowledge. We have little bit. You can't point out Canada. You can't point out Toronto on a map. I can put it right. So a place like Canada has 350,000 qualified investors. But that is because that economy is so. I don't like this Mahabharata tale of India being 5,000. I mind India is a 65-year-old, 67-year-old country. And our economy really started only in 1992. So give it some space. And do not make, again I say, please approach this in the order of money. Approach customers first. Actually, in India, friends, schools and families, everybody does that. Right? Approach your hopefully rich father-in-law. Try to get one. So, you don't do anything about having a poor father, but you can do a lot about having a rich father-in-law. But jokes aside, so try to raise funds from friends, schools and families because those guys are more forgiving. Try to raise money from customers. And by virtue of you guys being in this ecosystem, there is a lot of money available on tap, which Raghu can explain better, but so the government of India has a lot of schemes there. Once you get this papa of institutes like this, they themselves will do some kind of debt hand-holding for you. Hand-holding. Heavy lifting still has to be done by the government. So I think CGT SME is also applicable for manufacturing, right? 1 crore collateral free. 1 crore. Collateral free loan. Right? So examine all these options. Please understand that debt is the easiest way to raise money. It's the least expensive. This might sound counterintuitive, but if you're building a great company, debt is the least expensive way to raise money. Equity is the most expensive. Once company shares gone, it's gone. So I really don't, I'm very uncomfortable with entrepreneur attitude in today's world. I will be very honest. Everybody thinks VC money is easy and therefore I should run around. It's a stupid idea. Please stand on your own 2 feet, and if you demonstrate enough traction and enough growth, VCs become after you. And then you also have a story and a balance sheet that speaks for itself. This is my submission. Please do not look at investment or investors as the default route to funding. I don't know who put that idea in. Everybody's collective bets. Indian entrepreneurs are now thinking, was value on the मेरे सब क्यों नहीं होता? तुम्हारे साथ नहीं होगा? Short news. नहीं होगा तुम्हारे साथ. चलो हो जाएगा. ठीक है. It's very unhealthy. It's not a healthy sign. We've been doing business under so many constraints, environmental, structural, economic, right? So, what do you want to change the government? I always keep telling people, India is chaotic.